Hello, welcome everybody to the Fantasy Sports Game Show, a game show about fantasy sports for fantasy sports people. We're joined by three great fantasy sports people at the moment. Got the board ready. The clock is ready. So what's going to happen is a trivia question. It's the fifth Monday of the month, so it's kind of special. So 5 points if you get this correct. Okay, let me bring up the timer, and then we'll get ready to rock and roll. All right, here's the question right here. This linebacker had 154 tackles as a rookie, 120 of which were solo. And the time starts right now. You can ask Roquan Smith? No, good guess.
I don't do IDP, so I'll leave it to Mace. He's the IDP.
Yeah, I was at Mace has this one locked up, I bet. Yeah.
It's a hard one. I gave you guys a hint. Did y'all hear the bells?
Dick Butkus.
You were going back the right way. That's for the Kings Classic for sure. But we're going to be talking about the Hall of Fame. So I had to bring up a Hall of Fame member, and we're talking none other than Zach Thomas. That was his rookie year. 154 tackles, 120 solo tackles. Very difficult to achieve in this day and age. He went on to have 100 solo tackles, 3 more times over his illustrious career as a Miami Dolphin and last year as a Cowboy. And even as his last year as a Cowboy, he still had 94 tackles. Just one of my favorite athletes, growing up in a small town in Texas and watching him as a Texas Tech Red Raider. It reminds me of 90s football. Got the Mano y Mano skit going on. If you're new to that, go check out the sports affiliation. I'll talk about that after we get to talk to our guests, okay? So we're going to go through in the exact same order of the first question. We'll go Andrew, Mace, Greg. But Andrew, tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where to find your work and so forth.
Sure thing. No, thanks for having me on, Iggy. So I write for the Fantasy Pros website. I do a couple different Dynasty articles for them every month. And I have a whole Dynasty podcast called the Dynasty Junkies. And you can find me on Twitter at Andrew Hall FF. That's where I put all my stuff.
Love it. 2 thumbs up. So if you're not familiar how this game's work, the thumbs up equal a point, thumbs down. It's a little similar to another show, but it's for us fantasy junkies out here. Speaking of a fantasy junkie, going to his first ever expo this year. Mace, how are you? How are you doing? Tell everybody where to find your work, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, what's up, man? Thanks for having me on. Second time here. First time I was only voice, so put on a hat for the occasion and brought the brain to my operation here, my daughter with me. But you can catch me on Fantasy Six Pack. I'm the IDP content manager. I also write there, Fantasy Pros ECR over Fantasy Pros with Andrew Hall. So just trying to keep up in the game, stay with all these guys, stay afloat, stay like this legend down here below me.
Yeah, I hope the squares are the same. You got to keep up the pace. It's hard to do when you have an original Hall of Famer from the FSWA with you. That is what Greg is. Mr. Kellogg, thank you for joining us on short notice. And how are you? And tell a little bit everybody about, if you're going to put any work out there. If not, tell everybody a little bit about your past.
If you're going to see my thoughts, it's going to be on Twitter because I don't write any longer because that requires work, and I retired 5 years ago. So now I just give ideas to other people to follow up on. And one of the ideas I came up with this week was based on your show last week, or one of your shows last week, where they said that rookie quarterbacks tend to focus on tight ends. I don't buy that. I don't believe it's true. And I proved it wasn't true with Desmond Ridder. I challenge anybody to prove that it's true. I don't believe it.
I love it. Greg's not scared to get out there and put his flag in the ground. He's kind of like a Baker Mayfield of the fantasy football world. But
that's evil. That's evil.
Hey, man, but he led Cleveland to their first ever playoff appearance. Sorry to bring that up, Andrew, with the division rivalry over there. But
it's true. It's a fact. I can't argue.
He's a number 1 overall pick that has been a huge bust.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest Baker Mayfield fan. And I don't know that he'll make it to the Hall of Fame. And we're going to bring that up with the next question. I do want to hit up some of the comments. They are rolling in. Get them in on Twitter. Get them in on YouTube. We'll try to talk about them. We'll try to post them. We got JC behind the scenes running it. Steven, he wanted to guess. Kawan Alexander, great guess. That wasn't it. Coach says, hey, what's up, guys? Siegel says, Greg, fantasy gangster. He is that indeed. Zach Thomas, finished with 1,734 tackles, 1,107 solo tackles. I know y'all may not be as big as IDP guys as me, but I'm always impressed by Zach Thomas. I remember watching his helmet being all different colors from the linemen, and him just throwing himself in those A and B gaps without fear as an undersized guy. So, I always revel in, like I said, we got the Mano y Mano series. Go check that out. And for the listeners, we got the stickers. Like I said, we're going to be giving out for the most accurate listeners. Listen out there. We got my stickers, the sports affiliation stickers, and then we got the pack of cards right here as well, giving that away at the end of the show. I'm going to set up the timer, but yeah, we got a good Hall of Fame class coming in right now. You're going to have 30 seconds to answer these questions. And what it's going to entail is the Hall of Fame 2023 class, which if you're unfamiliar, the Fantasy Football Expo, Bob Lung done a great job so far over there at Canton. You can go to the Hall of Fame. It's included if you get the weekend package. If not, it's right there. King's Classic will be drafted in there. All kinds of great stuff right there in Canton. And we go to the Expo like a week after the ceremonies, or a little less than really. So the first question is going to focus on that. Here are the candidates, everybody. We're going to go Andrew, Mace, and then Greg. You can have the same answers in these first three questions. No big deal at all, okay? But the class includes in alphabetical order Rondé Barber, Don Coryell, Chuck Howley, Joe Klecko, Darrelle Revis, Ken Riley, Joe Thomas, Zach Thomas, and DeMarcus Ware. Who are you most happy about going in this year and why? Okay, Andrew? So you're on the clock, and we'll start it right now with 30 seconds. It's on you.
Perfect. All right. Well, I got to be honest. I love Darrelle Revis, but it's got to be Ken Riley. I'm a Bengals fan. Like, it's about time Riley gets in the Hall, right? As much as I love Revis and the whole Revis Island and all this, like, amazing defensive player, Ken Riley was an amazing player as well. And his age and just doing everything that he did as a cornerback as well. So I was actually really excited to see Ken Riley get in there. Again, any Bengals a good time to get in there. We don't have that many in the Hall of Fame either, so it's kind of nice to get another one in. And again, I think he's entirely deserving and entirely worthy of that honor. So I'm very happy about it.
I love it. Going full in with the homer pick. I fully expected it, and I fully love it. So, you got to have it. I mean, why not, right? You got to celebrate these victories. That's what it's about. Giving you the 2 thumbs up right there on that one. Mace, who are you most happy about and why? And your time starts right now.
Yeah, man, plenty of names to choose from there. You were talking about one of the intros, the question. We got Rondé Barber, Darrelle Revis. I kind of want to pay homage to go back, look a little bit. Joe Klecko, New York Stock Exchange, 20.5 1 year. I think he's one of few Pro Bowl or players that were elected to the Pro Bowl at multiple positions. I think like 3 different ones he had gotten. Just seeing the tenacity, like old school gritty football. It's just one of those guys that was kind of a staple and paved the way for guys today. So Klecko it is.
Man, at the buzzer, love it right there, bringing up the old school Jet, I believe, correct? So,
hey, all the players are worthy, every one of them. Revis and Ware are probably the most dominant of the players going in, but Air Coryell changed the game so much that it's now what it is today. You wouldn't have the offenses today without Don Coryell.
So, is that your answer, Greg? I didn't know if we were
Don Coryell, absolutely.
And what do you remember about him as a Charger specifically?
Dan Fouts. He's the one that started the modern passing game. Yeah,
you're right, man. I don't recall it, but I've definitely watched it as somebody that loves the history of the game.
Youngsters.
Appreciate the history of the game. Winslow, kind of made him famous on that night. Gassed out, I believe in Miami. It was that they just kind of completely got gassed on that night and kind of became legends, even though they never made it to the Super Bowl in their own right. But Don Coryell, I love it. Listeners, do we got anything out there? Zach Thomas coming from Coach Craig. He loves him. For somehow E.J. Manuel and Josh Rosen got snuck onto the list.
Talking about bus, I think. Yeah.
I'm not sure what happened in there, but those are not Hall of Fame candidates. Revis, got to have it hotbed for pro football players. And where's that? Aliquapa? I think that's what it says right there, Steven. Chuck Howley, only MVP in Super Bowl losing team for the Cowboys. I believe that's the Colts. Correct me if I'm wrong. Colts, Cowboys. Colts won that Super Bowl, I believe, right? And I think that was the one where the Cowboys did have the MVP of the losing team They made sure not that happened again. Emmitt Smith, Thurman Thomas, kind of interesting thing. They told both of them, hey, if your team wins, you're the MVP, but we're not going to give it to the loser of the team. Just interesting. And celebrating the Bengals. I did notice the Bengals don't have a lot of Hall of Famers. It's Munoz. You just got Forrest, right? Greg Forrester. I don't know if he goes in I guess he'd probably go in as a coach.
I think he goes in as a coach, yeah.
Yeah, so good to add to that pile. Keep them coming, guys. We'll keep it coming. Could be a 101 card in here. You never know, okay? So we're going to send those out. Great answers. Right now I got Mace with a slight lead, 5-4-4 on you guys. Listeners, you guys have 4 points as well. So keep it coming. Old-fashioned scorekeeping here. It still works, though. I remember going to baseball games and watching them change the numbers in outfield. Okay, so This is still a step up, right? We're still not there. All right, let's take a look here at the next question. 30 seconds back on the clock. We're going to go this time with Mace, Greg, Andrew. All right, so we're taking a look at it. What panel are you most happy to see at the Expo and why? And the time starts now, Mace.
Yeah, so I'll just start off by throwing out the women of fantasy football. Super excited to see them and see what they're about. It's my first year, so I'm not really sure what the panels are about in general, but just going down the list. Women of fantasy football, obviously the IDP one, just seeing what all my boys are doing out there. I know you're on that as well as some other great minds in space. And then honestly, I'm really looking forward to watching Joe Bryant talk about how to get started in fantasy sports. All of us come from different walks of life, different things, different backgrounds, whatever. I had to take a different path than a lot of people did. Just like to see what someone that is a CEO of something, like what their idea is of coming up and how that is to me.
Minus 10 for Mace. He went over the clock.
We'll enforce a stricter time clock once we get to the second round, but good point there, Greg.
I'm just teasing him.
Yeah.
For me it's a tie. Women of fantasy football, because back in the day I started a league called Ladies of Fantasy Football. This is probably 8-9 years ago I started it, and it lasted well after I retired. So that, and then Joe Bryant is one of my oldest friends in fantasy football. He and I started the original Fantasy Experts League, FanX, and Football Guy's been a powerhouse for decades. So I'm looking forward to seeing Joe again, because I've seen him before.
There we go.
Minus 10 for me too.
No, you got it right at the buzzer.
You nailed it, yeah.
Took the lead right there, actually. Greg, you got 8. Mace, you have 7. Andrew, you have 4. What do you got? What panel are you most looking forward to see and why? And your time starts now.
Well, again, just saying the same thing, mirroring the other guys. Women of fantasy football, always a favorite. It's going to be in the big room this year, which I'm a big fan of. I'm obviously going to be very excited for the dynasty strategies. I always love hearing about dynasty talk. I mean, as a dynasty fan, that's one of my favorites. And then I always look at the Expo as like a really good start to the redraft season. So that expert mock draft is always a good time too. Seeing all these, titans of the industry all going at it together, even if it's only a mock, it's just a ton of fun to listen to and hear kind of where their brains are at and why they're taking players. So I love that as we're getting into actual redraft season for me too. So it's going to be so much fun the whole time. Minus 10.
Minus 10, giving you the one more at the buzzer at 8. I don't know if there's other people commenting about the Expo as much. Other than my Steelers loved Eric Coryell. That's what Steven said. Yeah, I mean, that's got to be a fun offense to watch back in the day. I really enjoyed the auction panel. I think Drew's doing that again this year. Make sure you go check that. I had Scott Pianowski in there and a couple of the other guys. I'm blanking on the name out right now. Of course, the IDP panel will be there with Gary MC and us, Fantasy and Frames guys. Women in fantasy, make sure you go check out that panel. I caught like the last 10 minutes of it last time, and it was amazing. You're going to kind of have to plan it if you're going to the Expo, but I think they record them now. You can check them all out on the website afterwards in case you missed it, because, there'll be booths going on. There's a lot going on, but plan out your panels. It was very informative, and I recommend you check out as many as possible. Okay, moving it right along. We're going to the third question now. Fans, no points on that one, so you guys are going to have to come up quick. This will be a good question for everybody out there, because I try to warn everybody every year. You got to have depth, and you got to have a backup plan, and you account for accountable variables as much as possible, which are injuries, okay? So what's been the most devastating training camp injury thus far? We had a few more today, and why? So, Greg, we'll go Greg, Andrew, Mace. So, Greg, you're on the clock, and it starts right now.
A lot of people are going to say Joe Burrow, but I don't think his injury is serious. So I went with Tim Patrick. An Achilles injury is always serious, and so I'm worried about Patrick.
Yeah, I was getting a lot of best ball stocks with him. He just came back from an ACL tear, so I don't know if he was compensating. I don't know what's going on. I hope he's okay, though. So, Tim Patrick today, if you're unaware, Achilles news, not 100% sure. I'm not going to speculate, but it does look bad. All right.
Out indefinitely.
He's out indefinitely, yeah. It's not looking good if you're an owner. All right. Up next, we got Andrew. So you're on the clock, and it starts right now.
Well, I mean, I think that any injury in training camp is devastating to an extent. We don't like seeing any of that. I mean, Burrow's injury wasn't that devastating, thank goodness. I don't think that's really a fair thing to call it. That Tim Patrick one could be career-ending is exactly what Coach Craig is saying. Like, he's taking my words there. I think, honestly, like, some of the stuff is just a drama that's not even injury-related. Like, some of the court or the running back holdout stuff and all the drama with Jonathan Taylor and Saquon Barkley, like, all this off-the-field stuff, like, at least let us talk about football and be dealing with that. So, I mean, Tim Patrick is by far the most devastating, but I hate the drama.
Yeah, I know. We're just getting started. And they just seem to pile up really quickly already.
Yeah.
Mace, you're on the clock, and it starts right now.
Yeah, I was going to go with Rashawn Gary or maybe Tyree Wilson, but we kind of already knew what was going on with them. So I'm going to pivot and go to another defensive guy who's been actually a top 10 DB 2 years running. I'm not sure about 3, maybe 4. Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead and went down. That's just a huge hit. They just got him in Miami. He's showing out. And then they went out and had to replace him with Eli Apple, and it's become such a laughing stock that players on the Dolphins are out tweeting about Eli Apple and how bad he is. So just to see Ramsey go down, maybe he'll come back at the end of the season. That's some spice, but he's a guy that you see.
He got that from his ringer, just so you know.
I could tell she was all saying Ramsey.
She's all saying,
oh, yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Burrow, second season in a row. Joshua says, Coach Craig saying, like we talked about, that it could be, career ending, unfortunately. That's hard to talk about. I always want to go for the best. Joe's a good dude. Charlie Joyner and Fouts they're talking about out there as well. So going back to some of that older questions, we will get it out there. Put it in the comments. We'll get it going. They're all devastating. Ramsey, I think the Dolphins may have had the best defense in the AFC quietly with Vic Fangio over there beefing it up. Ramsey, that's a big chunk of it gone. Burrow obviously not good. I think it's going to affect him at least until October. You don't just bounce back from that. And then obviously Tim Patrick. They just released. Why am I blanking out? I should know him. They just released the guy that came in and played quarterback, I believe, that day. That was the wide receiver. I can't think of his name.
Oh, yeah. What was his name? I know who you mean.
During
that COVID year when there was no one left,
Yeah. Hamlin.
Was it Hamlin? Oh, Hamler.
Yeah.
KJ Hamler. Yeah. I
Is
think
it
that was,
KJ?
yeah,
No,
I think
it
it was a
wasn't
quarterback
KJ.
guy.
No, that wasn't KJ. They released that guy, the whole point. Yeah. And now Patrick going down. Sutton coming back off of a big injury. This is big news. Yeah, Hamler.
Kendall Hinton.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you for looking that up real quick. So,
and he can be re-signed immediately.
That's true. That is true. But bad news for Patrick. I was getting a lot of stocks on him. Be leery out there if you're drafting, just like Andrew said. Redraft season upon us. You still got some charity leagues drafting. We're going to get into the late hardcore drafts into the late August, first week of September. So keep that in mind. All right, going into this, listeners, giving you another point. You guys got some more in there. Going to give you a couple, actually. So 7 for the listeners right now. Missed that one question hurting. Mace is actually in the lead with 10. I looked it up. Mace, I believe you are episode 16 winner. And Greg, you won episode 8. So, 14 for Mace, 8 for Greg. Andrew with the rookie show coming up next. So, with that tiebreaker, I got to give it to Greg at 9. But Mace, you're first. So, you're going to be up first. Greg second. Andrew third. And then we'll just go down the line through the 3 questions, okay? So, up first with 25 seconds on the clock. Now, you cannot repeat the same answer as we move into fourth quarter finale. Okay, all this is based off of half-point PPR, redraft, 12 teams, 100-yard bonus incentive, 2 points, okay? Devontae Foreman, Devin Singletary, and Samaje Perine are all on new teams and in a likely timeshare. Who do you like the most out of these 3 and why? Once again, we're going Mace, Greg, Andrew. Mace, you're on the clock, 25 seconds, and it starts right now.
Yeah, at first I was looking at Foreman. He's kind of enticing, but I saw Devin Singletary's receiving stats. He's got 3 seasons in a row of, I think, 50 plus, like 50, 52 targets. He's never had over 1,000 rushing yard season, but neither has Foreman. Not really sure about Perrine, but I'm the most, I think, hopeful for Singletary just because they have the new system. Not a huge offensive guy as their head coach, and they're really going to need someone behind there to pass block and help their rookie quarterback.
All right, at the buzzer, giving you a point. Points are doubled there. Going with Devin Singletary, giving us the catches as the reasoning why. Greg, you're on the clock, and it starts right now.
Damn you, Riney! You need to find a new hotel room. Okay, so we'll go with Samaje Perine because he's got the best chance to start. Just because we don't know what's going to happen to Javante, we don't know if he's going to be ready. So I'll go with Perine for that reason only. But I really wanted to go with Mace's answer.
Single, but all right, take it to you, Ryan, up in Denver. So that brought you, you lost a point. You got 2 more back. You're at the 11 right now. Mace, you're at 13. Andrew, good chance, even though you have the last running back, 25 seconds. Why is it Foreman?
It's Foreman because it has to be for me. I have no options. You guys took the others. But I will say Foreman, I think, has a really good chance in this offense. It's going to be very much a different offense than last year. I think Foreman's got a really good chance to catch a lot of balls. I know Justin Fields is going to run the ball like crazy. They got Roshan Johnson. They got Khalil Herbert. But I think Foreman could be that guy that is a sneaky start in kind of a late round best ball running back spot. And that's who I'm trying to grab in the 17th, 18th round of best ball mania, is something like a Foreman, because he could be a starter.
All right. There is the buzzard on that one. Anybody have anything to say about that out there, JC, in the comments? As far as it goes, they're getting too much for me to keep up with, which is a good thing. Keep them coming, guys. I love seeing it. Eli Apple out there. P. Ryan, hands down for Steven. He says, Peyton went out and got him. Putting, thumbs up right there, Steven. Thank you. I think, Coach, you answered as well. So getting the listeners in.
That's extra points for me, right, Iggy?
Well, maybe because you got that one in, right? The fans agreeing with you. If it comes down to it, it could be. But yeah, I think it's a tough call. They're there in best ball, trying to see how the board goes at that point. Your RB 4 or 5. Depending on where you draft, how you draft. So I think it's a close call between all 3 of them, honestly. And nobody's getting an extra point at the end there. Moving it along to the second question. Let's see here. So it'll be Greg, Andrew, then Mace. It's a defensive question. I hope you did some homework. Cody Barton, Tremaine Edmonds, and Bobby Wagner are all on different teams from last year. Who do you like more and why? Greg, we'll start with you. Your time starts right now.
Bobby Wagner's been the epitome of consistency. He's on a new team, but not really. He was only gone for 1 year, and he's back to his old team. Knows the system, knows the personnel. Bobby Wagner. Sorry,
right.
Mace.
Hey, the perks of going first in some of these questions. Giving you one more because you still gave it with about 10 seconds left to spare there, Greg. So that puts your total up to 17 right now. Mace 13, Andrew 13. Up on the clock, Andrew, 25 seconds. Who do you like best? Starts now.
For me, it's got to be Tremaine Edmonds. I mean, again, as a Bengals fan, we always played the Bills and had a rough time with it, and I think Edmonds was a real reason for that. And so him going to the Bears, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's only going to help that offense. I'm just picking Bears for these. I'm just going straight forward with it. But yeah, I think Tremaine Edmonds is just a stud, and on that defense, they need a little help, and I think he's the right guy for that job. So yeah, Tremaine Edmonds is definitely a good choice for the Bears defense.
All right, going right there, tying up with Greg at the buzzard, saying that he will be a good fit in Chicago. You know what that means, my man? You got Cody Barton, Mace. It's on you. It starts now.
Yeah, Cody Barton, yay. So he probably would have been my last choice because of contract and situation. The front 7 in Washington's nasty. Hopefully he can just sit in the middle, find the gap, and see the openings and just kind of do the whole Moses part to see on the line and fill the gap and get stuff. Solid LB2, I guess, but I really don't have anything to say as far as that side or anything goes. I think he's on like a 1-year deal, maybe. So.
All right, yeah, he did a 1-year deal. I don't know if he's going to get used by that defense, or if they're just filling it out or keeping him out. He kind of busted out in his 3rd year. Interesting case. I think they all could have potential to have 100-plus tackles. Hard to argue with Wagner there, going back to homecoming. Had his team-leading stats already, I'm sure. So 3rd question coming down the pipe. Well, let's take a look and see what the listeners said. High on Ramsey this year. Mims, they're saying is going to benefit from this. Wagner coming home, and he's a tackling machine. So Wagner, I'll give you one more point just for the popularity of the fans there. We're giving them 3 points on it. So they got 15. Mace, you got 15. Andrew, you have 17. Greg, you have 18. And Andrew, nobody knows the third question here. If nobody knows it, so I'm going to read it to you, and then I'll put myself on mute, and I'll try to get it going back prior to that. So 25 seconds. This is for the game for all three of you. Here it is. Adam Thielen, Michael Gallup, and Darnell Mooney are all currently within 3 ADP of each other. Who do you like better, and why? Starts now.
Well, if I'm going first, I'm picking Adam Thielen. I love Adam Thielen this year. I think Adam Thielen is in a great spot. He could have picked anywhere he wanted to go. He went to Carolina and left pretty much with a contract. It was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm in. And the way that team is built like a fantasy team with Miles Sanders and Hayden Hurst, like I think Andy Dalton might actually get some starts this year. As much as I love Bryce Young, they don't need to win. There's a chance that maybe he's the guy. So I think Adam Thielen is a smash guy at that ADP, and by far the one I want the most.
All right, at the buzzer, grabbing the lead right there. He says confidently he likes Adam Thielen. Mace, you're up second. Let me take a look here. Time starts right now.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go with Darnell Mooney. I just think that there's passing to be done in that offense. They have DJ Moore. If he can stay healthy, he could be that solid one. I don't think he's an elite one, but it's going to be enough for Darnell Mooney to finally break out of his non-touchdown stance that he's been. Last year, he did have a couple games over 5 targets, but even just looking at the completion percentage and whatnot, if you give him time and let him streak, kind of create some offense for him, I think this could be a huge year for him.
At the buzzer, I like Darnell Mooney too. We'll have to see. Maybe you can get some fan response right there. Greg, you're on the clock. That means you have to go. Let me check again. Sorry. Michael Gallup. And your time starts right now.
Okay, well, Gallup's in the best passing offense of the three. I mean, he's got a history with his quarterback. Mooney's got to have Fields have a good year. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. And you know that they didn't draft Bryce Young number 1 overall to sit on the bench. So you got a rookie quarterback that's 5'10". I think Gallup's the choice there anyway. I really do.
Man, so taking it at the buzzer. What we have right here is a tie. And Mace, I'm sorry you didn't make it into the finals this one. Please hold tight. We will get you back on the your final thoughts. But Andrew and Greg are tied. Let's see what the listeners are saying. Mooney. Some people are saying boo Mooney. A little bit of a division there on it. I kind of like Mooney. I've drafted him a lot. I find myself drafting a lot of these guys. Not as much Thielen. I'm a little worried about the Panthers, to be honest with you. But I found more Mooney than actually a lot of other people. But making it convincing with Thielen there, I felt like. Okay, guys, I did have one just in case ready, giving the fans another 2 points. You guys tied with Mace. Not too bad. Tied with the winner of a show before. Here we go. All right, so I'm going to put 10 seconds on the clock. I'm going to keep it simple this year, or this week. You got a defending Week 14 champion in Greg versus the rookie in Andrew. So the champion gets the corner first. 10 seconds, Greg. Who's going to win the Super Bowl and why? It starts now.
I'm going to go with Miami just because they're due.
Miami, just for the process of being due there. I love it. So, Andrew, once I get this set up, the time starts right now.
I'm going Bengals over Niners. I feel like I wanted it last year. I still think it's possible. I'm going Bengals. Sorry, Mace. I know. But again, it's got to be that retribution for that 90s Super Bowl that the Bengals lost. So I'm picking my team.
At the bell, man. Giving me the Dolphins, giving me the Bengals. Man, I didn't really get an answer I wanted there. I didn't get any depth on that. I think we're going to have a second question. I wasn't prepared for it. I don't know that I like the Bengals or the Dolphins to win the Super Bowl, to be honest. I'm going to give you guys.
Well, my second choice would have been the 49ers.
Well, that's even. You would have definitely lost if you said that one. So.
Well, yeah, but I would have pleased Mace, and he's going with me to the Expo.
All right, that's a good validation. So here we go. First ever round 2 overtime on the game show. Since Greg, you had that round, Andrew, you get to come out first this one. The question is, with 2 more seconds, let me hear a little bit of why with this. Who is RB1 this year and why? Go.
Saquon Barkley, because he's got a chip on his shoulder. The contracts, the whole thing is kind of crazy right now. He signed a contract. I think he's going to go out there and dominate this year. I'm putting money on him for RB1. I'm drafting him everywhere I can. I think he's just going to come out and go nuts. There's no offense other than him. It's got to be him.
All right. Saquon Barkley is off the board, Greg. You have about 40 other running backs to choose from. Your time starts right now.
There's only one other running back. That's Jonathan Taylor, because Saquon Barkley's going to get hurt again, and Taylor's playing for a contract. He wants big money. He's going to get it because of this year.
Man, I love it. I forgot to start it, but I can tell you that you were fine with the buzzard. Man, those are both interesting questions. Both of their answers, both of their ADPs have been steadily dropping in the best ball. I love it. I've been getting a lot of JT lately. He's been going to the 3rd round. Saquon as well. I'm going to tilt this as the host. Hard decision. I think I got to go Andrew right here just because Saquon is signed. Jonathan Taylor, I don't think I would put it past him to sit out 1, maybe 2 games.
Oh, Iggy. Jonathan Taylor is signed.
Well, but
I know, yeah.
But he is.
Jonathan Taylor is signed.
So is Barkley. They're both playing for a contract. That's the thing.
But I don't know if Taylor's going to show up. Well, I've already seen Barkley show up. JT is on the PUP. It doesn't scare me that much. But I'm tilting this answer to Barkley. Going bold with both of y'all's answers, though. I do love it. Andrew, the floor is yours. Anything you'd like to talk about at all?
No, I'm just glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me. And again, Mace with the ringer. I'm totally honored to meet the both of you. That was great. Glad to meet and talk to you, Greg. I can't wait to hang out with you at the Expo. And yeah, just excited to have football back on Thursday here, a couple days away from actual kind of football. I'll take it. It's better than no football. So I'm real happy. It's a good time to be here.
I love it, man. I'm saying anything that you're just in general looking for the Expo, or somebody you want to give a shout out to that you haven't seen since a year, anything like that.
You mentioned Drew. Obviously, Drew Davenport does the poker tournament. I'm going to be doing that. Can't wait to lose in the first hand like usual. Just kind of get over there, try my damnedest, and who cares? Like, just have a fun time. So, yeah, I'm excited for that. Obviously, excited for the Expo, excited for the Friday night party on the grass and all that. Like, it's just, I'm just so happy to meet all my friends again and hang out with everybody. So, yeah, it's going to be a great time. No matter what happens, you can't go wrong. Even though it's in Canton, which is in Ohio, and some people don't like, and it's in August, which is a little warm, there's no place else I'd rather be, man. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm so looking forward to it. Greg, the floor is yours. Anything you'd like to say, talk about it all?
Stay away from Josh Jacobs. Stay away from Derrick Henry. Curse of 370. I've been saying it for a year now. Yes. Stay away from him.
I have
also, that state down south. I'm in Texas now, but I grew up in Michigan. We don't talk about the state down south.
Yeah,
we don't talk about the team up north. It totally makes sense. Yeah.
that state rivalry. I've heard that's the only game that matters. And those
game that matters.
It's the only one called the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. That kind of sums it up as well. Mesa, floor is yours. Anything you'd like to talk about? Anything about the CC at the Expo? Anything like that at all, man?
Yeah, first off, Andrew, Ohio's for lovers, man. That's what I heard, right? CMC, running back 1. And then going back to what you said about the Super Bowl that you thought, I actually went out on eBay and bought a Super Bowl 23 old school hat just because that's the Super Bowl that I wanted so bad this year. Thanks for having me on, Iggy. It's a pleasure. Can't wait to see Greg and everyone. Iggy, we got the football thing going on, the drafts and stuff going on at the Expo. And really just reading that article that you put out a couple of weeks ago, really kind of just like encapsulates everything that's going on. I can't wait to have like my coming to like football Jesus moment, seeing all the strides and the bus and stuff like that. But it's gonna be a lot to take in, and I hope I can.
Iggy, can I give one piece of advice? If you're going to the Expo and you write or do a podcast, get some business cards printed up with your podcast or where you write at and pass them out.
We're gonna pass it out, like I said, the stickers as well. We got the cards as well. Ron, I think you are giving us a lot of answers tonight. I think you're the #1 listener, so you're the winner of the card package, the stickers. We will send that out. I'm looking forward to the Expo. I'm looking forward to being on the IDP panel. I'm looking forward to being in the Kings Classic IDP section of that. Dick Buckus, the name we dropped earlier. We're going to be drafting in the same room as the Queens Classic in their first draft too. So I'm looking forward to all of that. Running into so many friends I met last year, meeting all the new friends on the way. The late night conversations like Andrew and JC and I had with Bob, and us, Lauren and a couple others out there just soaking it all up, man. I can't believe how far, it's been in a year and how far, we've all come together. And let's just hope that all the good times keep rolling. Let's hope the injuries stay down. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to say before we get out of here?
Tune in to Iggy every Monday night.
Yeah, man. Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock on the Pacific. What's cool about right now is we got all 4 time zones covered, east all the way to the west here on this show. So, hey, a show for the people. I do mean it. The game show, if you ever want to be on, we'd love to have you. The listeners out there watching, some of you have been on, come back on again. It's a show for all of us. That's what it boils down to. Wendy, she said Mace. Wendy, she yelled your name out there.
I was going to say, is that your daughter's first ever podcast, Mace? I mean, this is kind of a big moment,
Yeah, visually speaking, yes. But I have a family podcast that I do, and she really makes her opinions known on that one, man. You'll hear me running away from the camera.
That's how Mace got so popular.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
I mean, truthfully, you don't think he knows IDP. She's the one doing all the picking.
I know it. Yeah, that's how it is.
That's awesome.
Make sure you follow all these guys. I have all y'all's Twitter written down right here. Let me spell it out for everybody. We got Andrew Hall, FF, just like it's spelled. Callie King, 49er17. That is Mace's, representing the 49ers always. And then Greg's the Hall of Famer, man. Thank you so much for joining us. Made it to another final. His is Gregory L. Kellogg. That's GreggorylK. Oh, wait.
Gregory.
Okay.
But that's okay.
LKELLOGG, right at the end.
KELLO good Kellogg's best to you. True story. I grew up in Michigan. I got out of the Army. I sent a resume to Battle Creek to Kellogg's Corporation. They never even acknowledged it.
Oh man,
It set me up for a career in computers, so I'm okay with that.
I think you missed out early to the punch there, I would say. Good stuff they're saying, Ron. Make sure you DM us your address. We'll get this sent to you. Love to have it. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you all in just a few weeks, or less than 2 weeks, honestly. We got football this week. We got a lot to talk about. So I just will remind everybody, go follow those guys. Go follow us at the Sports Affiliate. And make sure you always bet smart, be lucky, and play fantasy football with IDP. We'll see you next week. We got Rico with Off the Backboard, a basketball show at 9 p.m. with Sports Affiliation. I'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys.